Alright, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have a lot of videos coming up, about 10 prediction videos that I have listed that I want to do. I wanted to do a few videos talking about certain fighters like Devin Haney. I wanted to do a video on him, alright? I've been checking him out for like the past month now. Then I want to do a video on Callum Smith because I've been watching him for a little while, since last year. And I also wanted to do a video on Sammy Vasquez. So those are some fighters that I've been watching now. Devin Haney, I got put on to him like extra late. You know, he's kind of getting famous now a little bit. But I just got put on to him recently. I think recently, like after he started calling out Broner and stuff like that. So be on the lookout. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on him. So just make sure you subscribe because I got a lot of good stuff on the way. All right, a lot of prediction videos, fights you guys want to see, stuff like that. All right. Now, this is going to be our last video on Khan and Canelo. We want to move on from that. And, you know, I'm going to end it off with speaking on Amir Khan, what I think he should do in the future. Okay, I brought up some things about him, like in my last video where I discussed briefly about the whole Amir Khan dared to be great by finding Canelo Alvarez. I really don't see it that way. Okay, Canelo is a cash cow at this point. He's a pay-per-view star, and he's a star. You know, it's like one of those guys that if you get the opportunity, you want to fight him regardless of the outcome, okay? You know, you fight Floyd Mayweather, it's going to do bigger things for you regardless win or lose, you know? And I feel like Khan took the opportunity of a lifetime. You know, Canelo at this point is bigger than him, is bigger than any other boxer. If you're not including Mayweather and Pacquiao, who's supposedly retiring, you know, Canelo already beat Cotto, so he got Cotto out of there. So as far as star power, Canelo's at the top, or at least one of the top 3 fighters out there, in my opinion, all right? So he jumped on the opportunity to fight Canelo, and that's all there is to it. You know, I know he went up in weight, but he didn't dare to be great, okay? There's plenty of other fighters from 140 and 147 that went up to fight him. No one said Josecito Lopez dared to be great when he was just fighting at 140 and he went up to 154 to fight Canelo Alvarez. There's plenty of fighters that went up to fight Canelo Alvarez from 140 and 147, okay? So let's like slow down on all of that. You know, Khan, he went in there, he gave it his best. He got knocked out. I thought it was predictable. I said he was going to get knocked out. And that's it. He got paid lovely for this fight. He got paid more than he's ever been paid. You know, if he doesn't want to fight anymore, he got enough money to live off for the rest of his life. Depending on his spending, you know, he can live off what he's got paid for this fight. Just this fight, you know. He already had money, but he got paid very lovely for this fight with Canelo Alvarez. Anybody else would have jumped up to do it. Thurman, Garcia, no one's going to look at them as, say, dare to be great. You know, it would just be a cherry pick, or for Canelo to fight one of those guys, or it would just be looked at as, you know, no one would give him, some of the other guys that would go up to fight Canelo, none of them would give them the same kind of respect as Khan, because they know Khan has a weak chin, is more likely to get knocked out than some of the other guys at 147. And that's why a lot of people feel that he's, you know, he has balls, or he's so brave, or he's daring to be great by going up there. Listen, it would have been a great win. You know, I even joked and said, listen, if Khan won this fight, he'd be TBE. We call him TBE because I thought the chances of that was that slim. And plus, you know, if he was going to, you know, lose this fight, it was going to be by a devastating knockout, which is exactly what happened, okay? So that's what I stated in the last video, okay? I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, you know, because if you have the option to fight Canelo or Danny Garcia or Kell Brook, I would take Canelo. You're going to make the most money possibly from it. And if you were to win that fight, that win would be much bigger. You know, even if you get paid more from fighting Kell Brook, okay, which Eddie Hearn is saying, you know, he probably is right. You know, if they were to sell out the O2 Arena or Wembley Stadium, they would probably make a whole lot more money. So I understand that aspect, but at the same time, the Canelo fight, as far as Amir Khan and what he wants the fame, he wants the bigger name. That's what he wants, and we're already used to that. So I understand why he took that fight over Brook, over Danny Garcia. Okay, and in my opinion, the Canelo fight is more dangerous than Brook or Garcia, in my opinion. Regardless of who you think is a better boxer between Brook or whatever, I just think that even if Khan were to lose and knockouts with those other two fighters by knockout, it wouldn't have been as devastating as the Canelo knockout. Not in my opinion, all right? So anyway, I saw what Kell Brook tweeted. I didn't see what he tweeted when he tweeted it. I didn't see exactly, that night. But from what I was told, he tweeted it immediately after Amir Khan was knocked out, like literally straight laying on the canvas. If that's true, I mean, me personally, even if it wasn't at that exact second, I really didn't like the tweet. I just think you calling out a guy that just got knocked out is like, I understand you want to make, listen, they're going to make, Kell Brook would make a lot of money fighting Amir Khan. I understand why you would still want that fight. There's nothing wrong with still wanting to fight Khan, even after the defeat and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But you calling out the guy that's laying down unconscious for what? He doesn't hold a title, okay? He didn't win the fight. You're not calling out the guy that actually won the fight. You're calling out the loser that's laying down unconscious. I thought that was kind of corny in my opinion. I think Kell Brook is coming off a little bit like Amir Khan, harassing Floyd Mayweather for the last couple of years, then Manny Pacquiao, and in between that, he's fighting soft touches. He's fighting guys that don't have a punch. Ever since he got knocked out by Danny Garcia, he fought 5 fighters that are not known to knock people out, okay? He fought 5 fighters that he was very likely to beat, okay? So, I just think that Kell Brook, what he's doing with Amir Khan, I think he's playing it extremely safe. He beat Sean Porter. It was a majority decision. It wasn't a dominating performance. I thought he won the fight, but, people think it was close. It was a close fight. It was a close fight. All right, and you beat Sean Porter, and you haven't fought anyone that's on a world level since that fight. Those guys he beat, decent, solid fighters. All right, Jojo Dan, Frankie Gavin, Kevin Bizier. These guys are solid fighters and everything. But whenever they stepped up in their career, they lost. Okay, and they haven't fought world fighters like the top fighters in the division. They haven't really fought. They haven't beat those guys. Kell Brook, I wasn't expecting anything less than a knockout when he fought those guys, okay? If Danny Garcia were to fight Gavin, Jojo Dan, Bizier, if he was to fight those guys, people would say he was cherry picking, all right? If Amir Khan fought those guys, people would have said he was cherry picking. If Canelo Alvarez fought those guys, people would have said he was cherry picking, all right? Let's be honest, all right? After he fought Sean Porter, he hasn't fought anyone, okay? He's trying to land a big fight with Khan before he gets in the ring with Porter for a rematch or Thurman or Bradley. He didn't even fight Diego Chavez. And I even thought that Diego Chavez was going to be his toughest fight outside of Sean Porter, okay? We didn't even get that fight. He's keeping it extremely safe. This is why I don't believe Kell Brook when he says, I want to fight Golovkin. I don't believe you because there's nothing you've done to validate that claim. That call out, I understand it when Lara or somebody else does it a little bit more because based on who they fought, okay? They took tough fights. Whereas, if we could let's keep it real. Before Kell Brook fought Sean Porter, what were fans saying about him? When is he going to step up? He's called out. He backed out of 2 fights with Devin Alexander, okay? Devin Alexander, obviously, not the fighter he was. Doesn't have the reputation that he was because he's taken some losses and everything. All right, fine, whatever. But at that time, Devin Alexander was what, the IBF champion? You know, I mean, he beat Maidana, shut him out. You know, he lost to Tim Bradley, but this was back when Devin only had like one loss or whatever. All right, this is before he fought Sean Porter. You know, so Devin was a little bit more up there as far as the top fighters at the welterweight division. And when Kell Brook back, and I know like Devin backed out on him as well once, but Devin fought better fighters at that time. You know, he fought fighters that was had better resumes and everything than Kell Brook. You know, if anybody's ducking, I would believe Kell Brook is ducking because Kell Brook hasn't fought anyone on that level. Now, I'm just talking in terms of Kell Brook and his matchmaking. I'm not talking in terms of talent. I think Kell Brook is, if not the most talented welterweight, I think he is one of the best welterweights that's out there. I know his resume doesn't say that, but me, based on what I see in the ring, I think Kell Brook could probably beat just about every if he can possibly beat every welterweight in the division right now. You know, Pacquiao, if he's retired, and Floyd, he's retired, we're talking about everybody else that's left. Kell Brook might be number one. He might be. It's debatable. It's just that he doesn't have the resume to back that up. You know, I'm just basing off what I see, but he does not have the resume. He does not have the resume. You know, and you know, if he fights Jesse Vargas, that's cool. It's a unification match. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no complaints. But Jesse Vargas is not as dangerous as Keith Thurman. He's not as dangerous as Danny Garcia. You know, these guys are more dangerous fighters. You know, and in my opinion, Jesse Vargas would be the weakest out of the champions at 147. There is, in my opinion, okay? It's not a knock on Jesse. I'm just keeping it real. If I had to rank these guys, I would put Jesse Vargas as the least dangerous welterweight champion. Okay? So if he were to fight Jesse, I wouldn't be surprised because based on his track record, he's playing it extremely safe, just like Amir Khan was. Okay? By fighting and beating soft punchers. All right? But beating guys that match up well with him for him to win. You know? So this is the problem I had with Amir Khan. You're not going to get these fights that you want. Floyd Mayweather, if you had win in there and outboxed Keith Thurman, people would have said, oh, now I really want to see it. But when you're beating guys, like, you know, when you get into tough fights with Chris Algieri, where it's a debatable fight, and then, you know, you're beating guys like Devin Alexander or Luis Collazo or Carlos Molina, you know, I know you were coming off of a knockout loss, but you played it safe with those fights that you had after you got knocked out. And then as soon as you get into a ring with another big puncher like Canelo Alvarez, even though people say you have the better boxing ability, you happen to get outboxed and countered and knocked out. You know, so again, by another puncher. You know, so we are not going to go no more. And that's another problem. Khan actually made the fans believe this. A lot of Khan diehards, they believe that they base everything solely on weight. They don't base things on skill or the styles of the fights or anything like that. You know, when he moved up to 147, the first thing he was saying is, I feel good. I feel better. You know, I seen him when he fought Collazo. He looked good. His physique looked good. You know, he looked healthy and he boxed good. And everything was going good. And he fought Devin. Great performance. That was a beautiful performance, what he did with Devin Alexander, okay? He outboxed him. He didn't outwork him or anything like that. He straight up outboxed Devin. Almost a shutout. It was a great performance, you know, and it was good, you know. That's all that we could say about that, you know. And, you know, people started believing, all right, you know, maybe he's better at 147, okay? Maybe he won't get knocked out. But, you know, you got to remember, he's not fighting punchers. Plus, he was fighting a couple southpaws. Then when you got in there with Algieri, an orthodox fighter that was coming forward, you know, and being very aggressive, he had some trouble in that fight, all right? If Algieri was a puncher, he could have possibly stopped Amir Khan because he landed the right shots. He landed some of the same shots that Canelo was landing in their fight. But he didn't have that pop. You know, but now when he goes up to 160, it's like, here we go again with, okay, you fight a puncher, You moved up in weight, and now everybody's blaming it on the weight. No, because Canelo has fought other fighters that he's bigger than. He fought Floyd Mayweather. What happened in that fight? It wasn't because of the weight or anything. He just got outboxed. Khan was not outboxing Canelo at the time that he got knocked out. Canelo was winning the fight. Okay, he was winning the fight at the time that he got knocked out. Canelo set him up with that counter and knocked him out. Okay, it is what it is. He got outboxed. All right, and we got to stop blaming everything. And you know what the first thing Khan said? Oh, I need to say go back to 147. We knew you should have been at 147. Okay, you should have fought Canelo as if you was fighting at 147 instead of gaining weight or not cutting that much weight off in between fights because you wanted to be bigger. All right, you belong at 147. I think he belongs at 147, not 154. He says it now, and everybody's gonna go back to saying that now. But we knew that before you got in the ring. That's why the fight was so predictable. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, this is what I think, and to me try to end this video here. I think Khan should, I really don't know what he wants to do. Is he planning on having one more fight and, just cashing out and going? I've heard him say that he was thinking about possibly retiring soon. He's not going to get the Pacquiao fight. He's not going to get the Mayweather fight. Ooh, excuse me. So what is he going to do? If he plans on staying in the sport and having several more fights or whatever, this is what I think he should do, okay? He should not fight Kell Brook in his very next fight, all right? If he wants to cash out, then fight Kell Brook right now. If not Kell Brook, then fight Danny Garcia. Fight one of those two, okay? Those are dangerous fights at 147. People want to see it, okay? Kell Brook, you're going to make all the money in the world, okay? I don't think you're going to make as much money as you would have if you fought him before you fought Canelo Alvarez, but you're still going to make a lot of money. All right. If you fight Danny Garcia, another big fight, okay, you're not going to make as much money, but you have the WBC title, and you'll be, possibly avenging a loss that you took already. All right, by beating Danny. A lot of people think that Danny got a lucky punch. You were winning the fight, just like you were winning against Canelo in the early rounds, just like plenty of other fights. You were winning early. A lot of people think that it was a lucky punch by Danny. Cool. Go in there, prove that you can beat Danny Garcia. You beat Danny Garcia, you'll be back on the map. Danny's undefeated still. You'll be back on top, just like that, okay? So it'll be a win if you were to win either one of those fights, all right? If you plan on cashing out and you just want to hurry up and, like, if you take the losses in those fights, then you're done, all right? I made my money, I'm out the game. If that's the way you want to do it, then fine. But if you plan on sticking around, I would take not a super tune-up fight, because you're going to go in there and beat some soft puncher again, and it's not going to make you any better, okay? Khan has peaked. I don't know if he's past his prime. I'm not really saying that because, he is with Virgil, and he did learn to not stay in the pocket as long. I think that's the only real difference between him and the way he was before Virgil when he was with, Freddie Roach and everything. I think he's learned some things, cool, but I don't really think he's past his prime, but I think he's peaked, okay? I think if he were to put up in a fight with a guy that we know you're clearly going to win, like randomly, Paulie Malignaggi or a fighter at 147 that's decent or good, but we know you're going to beat. I don't want to see you fight Aaron Martinez, in your very next fight, because we know you're going to beat that guy. You know what I'm saying? I think he should fight maybe a Robert Guerrero, a fight that is tough. It's going to be a tough fight. But I think there's a good chance that Khan can really win. We know he can outbox him. Guerrero has good power, but he's not the biggest puncher in the world. I do think that Danny hits a little bit harder than him. I do think Kell Brook hits a little harder than him. Guerrero is a tough fighter, and is a very respectable opponent to win or lose to, all right? But we don't want to see him against, just a guy that he's going to run right through. Another fighter I think he should fight is Lamont Peterson, a guy that you lost to before. It was very controversial. Peterson, I believe, failed the test after that fight. Okay, plus we had the low blows and everything that he lost points in that fight. A lot of people thought Khan was robbed in that fight. I remember watching that fight myself, and I thought Khan did very well in that fight. I thought he did enough to win, in my opinion, when I saw it years ago. Fight Lamont Peterson, fight Guerrero. Both solid fights, not no easy, easy. I think they're tougher to the fights than Devin Alexander and Louis Collazo. I think those are tougher fights, but they're not the toughest, whereas fighting Kell Brook or fighting Danny Garcia. I think it should be one of those two guys. Maybe some other guys you could bring up in the video. In the comments you guys could bring up. But I think it should be one of those two guys because those fights, they mean something. They're respectable fights. And if you win and you look good winning, people will be like, all right, now I want to see you fight Kell Brook or Danny. You fight Kell Brook right now after getting knocked out like that, it's going to make the money, but it's not going to... You want people to believe you're going to win. And when you get knocked out like that in your very last fight, even Pacquiao had to bring it down a little bit and come back and fight Brandon Rios, He fought Brandon Rios, He took, easy fight with Chris Algieri or whatever. You got to bring it down a little bit, Just fight someone that's not the best, but not the worst neither. Someone that's solid, someone that's still top 10 welterweight. I think he should fight one of those two guys if he can get those fights. All right, and if it really depends on what he plans to do. Is he gonna stick around for a while? Does he want to have one big fight and cash out, or does he want to get himself back and being one of the top contenders at 147? Have one or two fights before he has those big fights. All right. As far as I'm not fighting Kell Brook, I thought it was corny. I didn't like what Kell Brook did. All right. You just don't call out the guy that's unconscious. It makes me feel like you want to only fight him because you can knock him out. You guaranteed to knock him out. And I think he will knock out Amir Khan. I think he will. But it's like, all right, Kell, what are you going to do in between this time? You're wasting a lot of time trying to get the Amir Khan fight. There's a lot of guys at 147 you could be fighting. Other champions, other top contenders, people will respect if you win these fights. And I think you will win these fights. You're wasting time staying hiding out in the UK, making articles, being in articles because you keep yourself relevant by bringing up other names, but you're not actually fighting. All right? Diego Chavez was a guy you were supposed to fight. Didn't happen. Tim Bradley, rumbles of that fight, never happened. Okay? What is happening out there with Kell Brook? What are you doing out there? Except Amir Khan, who else are you actually going to get in the ring and fight? All right? That's the problem I had when he called out Khan while he's laying down unconscious and on the canvas. I understand you want that fight. You should want it. But there's a time to do the call-outs, and that was a bad time. Dude, don't you want to fight Canelo, the guy that just knocked out the guy that you want to fight? Call him out. Not saying you would get it, but nowadays you never know because Canelo might not even fight Triple G, and he might be looking for another guy. It's not like he didn't fight guys that moved up for 147 before to fight him. So you might be that next guy. You might get the next pay-per-view shot if you were to call out Canelo. But you just sat there and called out the guy that got knocked out. For what? We already know you want to fight him. And maybe he possibly thinks that, all right, well, now that he got knocked out, it would bring down his, he'll be humbled a little bit. Now he'll come back and fight me. Now that he got knocked out, didn't work out for him. Maybe he'll come back. But still, dude, as a fighter, why are you calling out the guy that just got knocked out? Call out the guy that just knocked out the guy you wanted to fight. Call out Canelo. I would have respected him more if he tweeted and said, oh, I want Canelo next. I don't even want Khan. If he had said that, I would have respected him more. But Khan doesn't seem like he's interested in fighting you, bro. And how many times I got to say it in a video? Dude, stop thinking about Khan and fight someone else. I said the same thing about Lara years ago when I was like, yo, Lara is tripping off fighting Canelo, and he's just not even thinking about everybody else. Call out Mayweather. I said that in my video 2-3 years ago. I was like, yo, Lara needs to call out Mayweather because Mayweather doesn't have an opponent, and he's sitting here focused on Canelo Alvarez when he should be calling out Floyd Mayweather, you know? Get people wanting that fight. So anyway, that's it. Let me know who you guys think Khan should fight next. This is going to be my last video talking about Khan and Canelo. We're done. We're moving past that now. And make sure you guys hit subscribe. And see you in the next one. Peace.